so today our presentation is about asking great questions. In other words, great questions to ask. And we're going to start with the power of questions. I believe to the level that we learn, internalize, and use questions, the level of our business will either rise or fall.
Who's Chris Suarez, Laura?
Chris Suarez is the co-founder of Place. He's also the master of our Friday calls on Place. He is a brilliant real estate mind, and he also does the experiential MBA program, which I just went to in New York City, which was just a whole nother, I'll talk to anybody after the meeting if they want to know more about it. Incredible. So this is copied and pasted pretty much from Chris, but I was there in person. So why are questions so powerful?
Anybody? Why is it so
they make
powerful
people
to
think?
That's one thing, yes, but there are two aspects of why you're asking questions. So questioning is a uniquely powerful tool for unlocking value. It spurs learning and the exchange of ideas. It fuels innovation and performance improvement. It builds rapport and trust. But
I would say when people ask questions, you feel like they are actually listening to you and they're interested in you.
yes, that's the building rapport and trust. So we take control of situations by being the questioner and letting our clients speak to us instead of the old, I'm talking, I'm selling. That method doesn't really engender us to our clients' trust. They want to be heard. And I think all too often we think we have to go in a room and, prove ourselves, sell. And what Chris really hammered, so much is that once you understand the why, or your client understands the why, then it unlocks everything else. And you can't get to the why without, asking the right questions. Yep.
And how many times have you sat down with someone that just asked you questions and you come away and you just feel like, wow, they really heard me. They really care about me. And in actual effect, the person that was asking you all those questions didn't even tell you anything, but you feel like you had a great conversation with them because it was all about you. You make people feel heard, important, and people like that. We just do.
Yeah. Going back to the whole, what are the two things that people like to hear the most? And the number one thing is their name. When they're in a conversation with somebody. I mean, the best way to make any kind of rapport, to gain any kind of rapport with someone is to simply ask them about themselves. Just start there. But when we go into a listing presentation or a buyer consult, we have to start out with understanding where the client's at, where they want to get to go, what they know about the process, if anything, and then we can fill in the blanks with our selling, learning, etc. But you have to continually be asking questions throughout the process.
And listening.
Active listening. Amanda would kick me under the table and listen.
I do.
When I start talking too much, she either gives me a look or she nudges me with her foot. And because I am definitely that high D. And oftentimes you ask me about the disc profile. It's so valuable to understand, who am I talking to? So if you have a very, mousy, that's maybe not the kindest word to use, but a very mousy, process-oriented person, and I just come in there and I'm slamming them with all the whys in the house. Yeah, they're just like, whoa. So what I've learned is to change the cadence of how I speak. For many people, that means slowing down, repeating the most important points. And really also a big thing I do, and some people don't like this, but I look people in the eyes when I'm speaking to them. And I do a lot of affirmative head shaking. Yeah. That's just something I picked up along the way. I think it's valuable.
Yeah, less is more.
Yeah. So moving on, 7 powers of questions, and we're going to break this out into 7 slides. But number 1, they demand answers. Number 2, they put us in control. Number 3, they stimulate our thinking, our clients' thinking. Number 4, they get people to open up. Number 5, they give us valuable information. Number 6 leads to quality listening. And number 7, you get people to sell themselves. That's pretty fascinating, right? So kind of breaking it down, demanding answers, asking questions that demand answers is about seeking clear, and direct responses to specific inquiries or concerns. So this approach is particularly effective in situations where you don't have clarity, accuracy, or resolution is needed. By framing questions assertively and with precision, you communicate the expectation of receiving concrete information or solutions. This method is useful in professional settings such as interviews, meetings, or problem-solving discussions, where decisive action or understanding is required. I want to just say what we are highly paid problem solvers at the end of the day, right? So it encourages accountability and ensures that discussion remain focused on achieving results or resolving issues efficiently. Asking questions that demand answers helps maintain the clarity, drive progress, and facilitate effective communication in various contexts.
May I interject?
Yes.
So how many times do we ask a question and then we don't even listen to what the person is saying because we're getting ready to ask our next question? And what we should be doing is saying, so tell me more about that,
Yeah.
Laura.
And I actually bring a notebook and I say, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to be writing down a lot of stuff here. So, I am listening, but I'm taking notes. And I think that also, again, engenders somebody to be like, oh, wow, they're
Listening.
they're really paying attention to what I'm saying, because I think the overall theme is that, we're not used car salesmen, but a lot of people look at real estate agents as slick and, just out for the money and whatever. And when you show that kind of care and dedication to your clients, again, it's going to build their confidence in you that you're just not there for the quick sale. You're there for a relationship, right? And I think that's really important to most people. So it puts us in control, and you have to make sure that everything is consistently going in the right direction. When you see somebody going in the wrong direction, you can interrupt and ask a question to get them back on track and retake control. When someone strays off course, asking guiding questions to help them reflect and realign their actions with the overall objectives. So one example is if someone just says, what do you charge for commission? That's not how we want to start a presentation.
So what would you
Right?
say?
I'd say, commission aside, let's talk about what's most important to you about your home. Oh, why did you buy your home? What do you love about it?
I still want to know how much commission.
Well, we'll get to that,
Okay.
but I'd like to present to you what my company is going to do for you, how we're going to effectively market your home across multiple platforms, what I'm going to be doing on the ground, open houses, things like that. Is
So-
that something you'd be interested in?
Yeah,
hearing
so
more
you're
about?
telling me there's different commissions for different levels of service.
Well, commissions are all negotiable.
Yeah. So
And I would say that, yes, if you just want someone to list your home on the MLS with absolutely no service, that would be a different strategy. And then actually, that's something I'm not personally interested in doing.
okay, goodbye.
Just as an example. Do we have any comments or questions while we're going along? I don't want to just be blah, blah, blah.
Especially from the Pullman team. I see you have quite a crowd over there. Does the Pullman team have any questions?
Okay. All right. This approach maintains alignment and productivity, ensuring your efforts remain focused on the desired goals. Moving on, stimulates thinking. They force you to think and to give answers. So when you're asking somebody questions, asking follow-up questions beyond the initial response, this is a Jeff Glover thing too, forces deeper thinking and often reveals more accurate or insightful information. The first answer you're going to get is usually straightforward, but by continuing to ask additional questions like, what else? Tell me more. Oh, that's interesting. Why did you say that? Sometimes you're like, wait, help me understand. I'm curious. Why would you say that?
Do I have permission to ask you more questions? May I dig deeper? What's important to you? Tell me more. Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
All of these are strategies that
Yeah.
naturally you and I would never do without having learned the power of asking questions and shutting up.
Correct. Tell me more about that. So you're encouraging the person to reflect more deeply. And this process also often uncovers more nuanced and truthful answers, as everyone's initial response is usually just surface level. So by persisting with probing questions, you facilitate a more thorough exploration of the topic, leading to a deeper understanding and more genuine responses. I think we can all agree we want to really know what someone's why is, and it's often not the first thing that they tell you.
Yes. You're digging
digging,
deep.
digging for gold, people, digging for gold. You get people to open up. Asking questions encourages people to open up by creating a space where they feel heard and valued. I think we touched on that. When you show genuine interest in their thoughts and experiences through thoughtful questions, it fosters trust and comfort. And the dialogue signals that their insights are important, prompting them to share more openly. Questions like, can you tell me more about that? Or what did you think about this? Demonstrate active listening and engagement, which helps to break down your client barriers and encourages a more open and honest exchange of information. Giving us valuable information. I mean, the bottom line, I'm not going to read the whole slide. If we don't know what we need to know, we cannot come up with the right plan for our clients. And so everything that they're giving us, those are nuggets of value. And we're going to take that value and we're going to form a plan for them. And we're going to overcome objections. As I said to Jill, we're all in the objection handling business. There's no one in sales that's not in an objection handling role. And to be afraid of getting objections from clients is, it's something that I've really become a lot more comfortable with. And I found that what is the worst thing that can happen? At the end of everything, if I get a no, but I've done my job, then it just wasn't meant to be.
And in this, moving into what's going on in our industry, we are getting questions and pushback and objections that we are now building the muscle by asking more questions. So the power of questions is you're going to control that conversation if you continue to ask questions and don't kind of knee-jerk react with something that they've asked you that you're like, oh my God, I don't even know what that is. Tell me more. Why is that important to you? Tell me more about that. And that whole strategy is going to help that person then give you what you need to know, which is their motivation, their reason for bringing that up as an objection, and probably going to get through it so you can have a meeting of the mind and decide you want to work together.
The other biggest thing for me that asking questions, the deliverable of asking questions, is that it's always buying you time. Because we can get, maybe kind of thrown off kilter or defensive or feel like we have to defend what we're even doing there, even though we've been invited generally into their home to discuss these plans with them. Buying questions, asking questions, and then the Jeff Glover, go 3 deep. He always says that, go 3 deep. There's always 2 or 3 more questions you can ask based on the first answer. So again, actively listening, taking notes, hearing what they're saying and probing further, it buys you time from maybe the very direct first thing they want to know, which is, what are you going to charge me?
Yeah, right? and you're right. It slows you down because you're in control of the conversation, and then you can actually get to what it is that's bothering them or that's stopping them from signing.
And people will reveal themselves. So that's the value. Going on, it leads to quality listening. I think we touched on that a lot, but when you ask thoughtful questions, it demonstrates your genuine interest in understanding whoever the person you're asking the question of, their perspective, encouraging them to express themselves more fully. And the process enhances listening because it directs your attention towards comprehending their answers rather than just waiting for your turn to speak, what Amanda touched on previously. So I have to be really careful with that. That's probably my biggest issue, is that I'm hearing people and I am coming up with my next, whatever, refute of whatever they're saying. And it helps, as again, I said it helps slow me down and gets me on their pace, so they actually think they're in control when you're in control.
And I think we can all just keep getting better, because you and I know from me nudging you
under the table
you
or the eyes,
looking at me when we're doing listing appointments together, which we do a lot. We know that when we walk out, we have done a better job every time. We're getting better at it, but neither of us can sit there and go, we nailed it. We didn't say a word and we still got the listing appointment.
It's really hard to ask somebody for their business if you haven't gotten to know them on a deeper level. I don't think we even have the right to ask them for their business until we've succeeded in getting to know them, their story, where they're going, why they're going, etc. Whether it's a buyer or a seller. And it leads to referrals. If you're, if one of the first things you ask a seller is, where are you moving to? Where are you moving to?
I'm moving to Boise, Idaho.
Wow. How did you select Boise, Idaho?
You know, I heard there were amazing areas in the mountains, and I love to hike with my boyfriend.
Okay. And have you thought about what are you going to do there once you get there for a living? Are you going to be changing professions to allow you to climb the
Yeah,
mountains?
I'm going to start painting canvases. And
Really?
I'm going to be a professional painter, and I'm just going to love my life.
We're getting a little off track, but you see where I'm going? You know, you just, and then you say, oh, you're moving to Boise. You know, I've never been there, but I have this incredible connection. Barb Dops in Boise.
I know Barb Dopp. Another agent just referred to me.
Oh my, well, that's amazing. And if Barb Dopp doesn't work out for you, I have 3 other agents that I can refer you to.
Love it.
Would you like that?
Yeah, especially if
Okay.
they know the best restaurants in Boise.
Oh.
I'm going to be painting and eating.
So you see where we're going with that? And then you get a referral, and referrals pay us, right? So we want to get paid. You're getting people to sell themselves. Asking questions effectively can prompt people to sell themselves by allowing them to showcase their skills, achievements, and strengths. When you ask questions that focus on their experience, capabilities, and accomplishments, it encourages them to articulate their expertise and qualities. This approach shifts the conversation from a direct inquiry about their abilities to an opportunity for them to highlight what makes them unique and valuable. That's probably very good for interviewing also. By framing questions positively and inviting them to share examples of their work or achievements, you empower individuals to present themselves in a favorable light. Again, recruitment, demonstrating their suitability for roles, projects, or opportunities. And this technique not only helps you gather pertinent information, but also enables people to self-promote effectively, showcasing their capabilities and contributions.
And everybody loves to be heard.
Yeah.
So by the end of this conversation, they feel heard.
Yeah.
You were interested in their uniqueness and
Yeah.
what they bring to the table, and you're most likely to have developed a rapport
Yeah.
that's going to get you the job.
But the one thing I have learned, and the one thing I've learned is that rapport alone does not equal closing a piece of business, especially on a listing appointment. Oftentimes we leave and we think, oh my God, I had such amazing rapport with them. I'm absolutely certain, even though they said they can't tell me yet because they've got to interview 17 other agents. I just know I got the business. And one of the valuable lessons I've learned is 2 things. One, I want to go last, not first. I want to go last because I can ferret out more information.
Oh, I want to go first.
Yeah, no, I want to go last. And rapport, because I've definitely mistaken that before. Rapport does not necessarily mean that you solved their problem.
You probably didn't ask enough questions.
Probably didn't.
And you probably missed something.
Yeah.
And they said that other agent covered it.
Yeah.
You didn't ask about it. It
Yeah.
wasn't important to you.
Yeah.
Good
So
learning.
one of the great tools is when you're going for the close, ABC, always be closing. When you're going for the close, aside from the price, Amanda,
Yes.
is there anything that I haven't covered that's important to you that you need to know about this process? I know it's been a while since you've sold a home.
Yeah, I think what I'm really nervous about is I just don't know the contractors that are going to show up and do that painting that you suggested. So how am I going to make sure that I get on the market? I don't know people.
I absolutely can help you with that.
How?
I have the house doctor and I pull out my, and look at all the things they do.
Wow.
And if you call Jessica, she will have a crack top team here. I would use correct,
Love
a
it.
top-notch team here on your
Love
timeline
it.
within your budget. She's reliable and very resourceful.
And you understand about these violations that you
Oh,
told me about?
absolutely. Yeah.
And those
I'm
could be
gonna
done too?
Yes, sorry for interrupting. I'm going to be here for your city point of sale appointment.
Okay.
So I will be here, boots on ground, or Graham, my concierge, will be here. We have great working relationships
So
with the
first
city.
closing.
Pardon me?
So I'm ready.
Yeah, you're ready?
Ask me to close.
So are you ready to let me get to work by listing your property and
Yep.
signing the documents?
Let's do
Great.
it.
Let's get the paperwork started so I can get to work for you.
Oh,
None of this was rehearsed, by the way. The 2 major goals of having a conversation. So information exchange, learning, impression management, liking. And why do people hold back from asking questions? We're gonna
Why?
do a little
why do people
interesting.
hold back from asking questions? What do you think, guys? Pullman
Maybe
team?
fear they're gonna sound stupid.
Yes. I think that's the number one reason.
And you know who the stupidest person in the room is? The one who doesn't ask the right question. Seriously.
Me?
No, I mean, how do you learn anything? You know, I really believe there is no stupid question, period. So some of the reasons people might be egocentric, perhaps they're apathetic. I don't know what's worse. They may be overconfident and think they already know the answer. That's one that I stumble upon, and I didn't fully parse that out, but some of my process would be, I'm asking questions, I'm hearing their answers. I already know where they're going. I think I already know their answer. So I'm ready to just push
You
on.
say that sometimes, and I noticed that, and
Yeah.
I'm like, you needed to let them explain
Yeah.
what it was,
Yeah.
because you might have missed a clue that was actually some other part of
Right.
that. Although
But
you
my
think you do.
reasoning for doing it is that I want them to know that I already know what they're thinking.
So it's confidence.
People don't like that.
So
though.
it's your ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
Laura didn't leave her ego at the door. That's
Exactly.
listing appointment.
People worry that they'll ask the wrong question and they'll be viewed as
That's-
rude
That's
or incompetent, which is also
Jill's number one right now.
which is also why you ask permission to ask the questions.
Questions, yes.
Hey, can I ask you, may I ask you this? May I ask you that? Oh, Jeff Glover does that 20
No,
times.
Ben does it.
And Ben does it
Ben is
also.
like,
Yeah.
can I ask you something? Do I have permission to take notes and ask questions? And they're like, yes, they're ready.
Yeah.
So the number one reason people don't ask questions is because they just don't understand how beneficial a good question asking can be.
Moving on. Guess what? 4 reasons why people don't ask questions. They don't care what your answer is. Wow. I wonder how many of us would raise our hand to that. They think they already know the answer. They're afraid to ask the wrong question. Jill, that might be Jill. Or they're trying to impress you with what they know. Got to check that.
How many people resonate with one or more of these? Brian, what do you resonate with? Brian's like, stop picking on me.
Especially the part about the wrong question.
Mhm.
Ah.
And also the one about already knowing the answer. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I
Yes.
feel like I know everything.
Right,
I think I
right.
don't, you know, need to ask it because it might be a moot point. So
Brian, have you ever taken the DISC profile assessment? You would have
No.
taken. No. Interesting. I bet you're an S or a C.
So the one
I'd be
that
interested in taking it.
the one where it says they don't care what your answer is, boy, that hits home, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the-
people are
that's the
only
high
going to
D.
remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
So if you show you don't care what they're even saying to you,
Yeah.
whoosh, that's terrible.
Yeah. And often when we interview for, you know, whether it's a buyer, but more sellers, and you ask them, you know, have you interviewed other agents yet? Or they'll be telling you their perspective from a previous transaction with a realtor that's not you. And that's a great one to keep asking questions, because you let them hang the other person. You never have to say anything
Yeah.
derogatory, and never should, about anybody else in our profession.
So Laura, tell me about your last experience, because you said you were on the market and you didn't sell.
Yeah.
So what did you love about the experience?
Nothing.
Okay, tell me more.
My house never got shown.
Okay.
When it did get shown, which was and I think I had 3 showings in like 4 months in this market where everyone is selling their homes.
So do you think that that was the problem with the house? Or
Well,
was that the problem?
I never got any feedback.
So you never got any feedback. Do you think
Yeah.
that was a problem?
I felt like my agent really, you know, just listed my home and then forgot about me.
Oh, interesting. Because the number one reason when we go and list houses that people weren't happy with their previous agent is they just said they didn't hear from them.
Yeah.
So am I right that communication is really important to you?
Yeah, I want to know what's going on.
How do you like to be communicated with?
Well, I really prefer a long phone call.
Oh, oh, I've got just the agent for you. Catherine Bishop, we'd love to take you on that.
But you know, again, you see where we're going. And I think one of the other things is that Chris talks about counter positioning. This was kind of a fascinating topic that he covered in the seminar last week. So he said, you never have to say anything negative about anybody. if you walk in a room and somebody is talking about their agent that an agent that they know about, like a big agent whose signs are all over the place, right? But you know that they really don't do any social media marketing, et cetera. They're going by put the sign in the yard, put you on the MLS, but they've been in the business for 30 years. And you're like, how can I go up against this? Instead of ever saying anything derogatory, you counterposition yourself. Yeah, that's the old way of selling homes. What we do is we market you across 1,200 websites. I'm on Facebook. By the way, take a look at my Instagram. Why don't we pull up the social media profiles of both of us to take a look at?
Yeah, what do you think is
Show
more
and tell.
impactful for
Yeah.
showing your home? I love
Yeah.
that. Let's keep going.
Okay. Whoops. We have another slide there. We got stuck. Okay. So we're going to script and role play.
I don't think we have time.
Do we not have time? We have
What's the
time.
3 minutes.
Okay.
3
Okay,
minutes.
so you've got to join in here, guys. So basically, one of you is going to be a seller, one of you is going to be an investor, and one of you is going to be a buyer. And I'll start by being an investor. And I'm going to, I'm an investor that I'm the investor and Laura is going to be my agent. So she's going to should I ask you questions or you ask me?
No,
questions?
I'll ask questions really quickly, but no one's answering. We're just going.
No,
Oh,
investor. So
okay.
I'm going to you. So you're an investor. So
Yeah.
what are some of the questions that you're going to ask me?
What areas have you thought about investing in?
Okay, next.
Why have you chosen those areas?
Okay, next.
Are you working on a cap rate or a cash on cash formula?
Okay,
How much money do you have to invest?
okay.
Are you using hard money or cash?
Okay.
Do you know anything about the city point of sale? Do you know anything about the property taxes in the area?
Okay.
Are you interested in an A, B, C, or D area?
So Laura's doing a great job. So now let's go to who wants to be a seller. And we're going to have you ask lots of questions to Laura, who is the seller.
Shoot.
I didn't make that. Who's the seller? You're the seller.
Yeah.
So Jill, be an agent. Laura's your seller. What's some questions you're going to ask?
So Laura, what is most important to you to make this move as seamless as possible?
Great. Next.
Is time or money more important to you?
Ah, that's a
Great.
good one.
Next.
How quickly do you want to be on to your next home?
Next.
Will you sign?
Next.
This is the commission I charge. Are there any, whatever, I don't know.
Okay, so you got to 5.
Can
Yeah.
I bring my designer over to give us some ideas of what we can do to best present your
good one.
home to the market?
Yes, Sarah.
Okay, so let's have Tara be a buyer. So Tara, you're interviewing Laura. And sorry,
Yeah,
which way
go
is
ahead.
it? You're interviewing Laura and you're going to ask questions because Laura's the buyer. So what are some of the
Okay.
questions that you're going to ask? Keep going as many as you can.
Okay, so where did you grow up and where do you live now? Where would you
Right.
like to live? Why would
No.
you like to live there? What does that neighborhood look like? Are you familiar with the neighborhoods that you're looking at? What's most important to you in terms of the home itself? What square footage are we talking? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Does it have a garage? Does it have a yard? Or is it a fenced-in yard? Do you have bandwidth to put a fence in the yard if it doesn't currently have one? Is basement super important to you? Or are you okay with something that has a crawl space underneath or a slab? Let's talk a little bit about what that means. Why do people want basements versus not? What does that mean for you?
You've taken both. Yeah, that's great.
This is good. Yeah, this is great.
let's
So,
see what else.
but she's
Yeah,
going
go
to
ahead.
control the conversation if she asks so many questions. This was obviously also a lot to do with the house, but like, where are you moving to? Why are you moving?
Do
What
you have a loan
timeline?
officer?
Yeah, and how are you paying? These are brilliant.
Do you
So,
have $20,000 saved to pay my commission?
so the more
Concessions.
so the more we get really good at asking questions, and there's all sorts of books like Asking Great Questions, the more we can control the conversations.
Thank you all. By the way, this is available. I pulled this up. The LP Mama script is always a good route to take.
Yep.
And it motivates, it finds you, those 6 important factors.
And we'll send the PDF over to the team, your team.
We'll send it to
so that
Brian.
we
Brian,
can-
you can send it
yeah.
out.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the
Thank
effort.
you
Yeah.
guys. You were amazing, Laura.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
That
much,
was
guys.
really
I'll
good.
get this published and out to everybody that wasn't able to make it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, I want to make a suggestion for these power-ups. Like, we got to tell people, like, even if you're a veteran agent, like, there are studies in sales that say you must always go back to the basics and you must always keep learning, because it encourages you to get back into your business. So thank you for hosting
Yeah,
us today. I appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Thanks for
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Bye.